go ahead and rise to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just said it, the kids are sick. Well, actually, the kindergarten are on their way. Possible to section or there should be a
Okay. So we will come back to the student presentation. We will move into the public input.
Okay. I've had some questions. I'm also on the budget committee, but my first question is the school in a
Can you
budget?
state your first and last name?
Sorry, Christine Maynard. Are we in a budget crisis?
We had a budget meeting the other day.
No, but is the school in a budget crisis?
Can you define budget crisis?
Well, that's what I would like to find. So I want to know, is the school financially in a budget crisis?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay.
Did you want us to respond?
I mean, as far as are you asking with the proposed budget that was presented back from the budget committee? Or?
Just in general, are we in a budget crisis?
I think we met our budget, I believe, for last year. Is that correct?
I need to understand what you mean by crisis. I can't
So-
answer the question if I don't understand.
Myself and every other parent in town received a video through Parent Square saying that we need to come to deliberative and vote for our school's budget because we are in a budget crisis. So I have a really big problem with that, being a part of the budget committee for the past few years and being selected and everything else. Our school has always been able to financially cover all of its needs and put back into the general fund. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't feel as though that we are in a budget crisis, and to put out a video stating that we are in a budget crisis is very misleading. It's kind of scare tactic and putting intimidation on the voters to say, and it says, to make sure our kids get a good education. It's very misleading, and I, at this point, would insist that the video be taken down, a message be put out with an apology, because it's misleading and it's basically lying. We're not in a budget crisis. Yes, you are asking for more money or you're asking for whatever you want for money, but we are not in a crisis. A crisis to me means that you're going to go into the red, we're not going to be able to keep the lights on, there's not enough money to pay staffing, you're going to have to lay off. That is a budget crisis. And when year after year you're able to fulfill all of the financial needs of the school and the kids, and then put money back into the general fund after fulfilling all of your capital reserve fund wants, that is not a budget crisis. So I would just ask that the video be taken down, an apology be made, and a correction be done, because it's very wrong to do, to mislead voters, especially on such a serious topic as our kids' education. I'm all for supporting the school. I have always been a supporter of the school, and I am a supporter of financially supporting the school with what is needed and nothing more, but I feel like the videos that have been coming out and being sent, especially through Parent Square and then being shared on social media, is not right. And especially where the fact that, like, if you guys aren't aware of it, it's really alarming because Mr. Bronson is posting it saying the school board's asking me to share this. So I have a really big problem with one of the videos starting off with a big sign that says budget crisis, and it says that we're in a budget crisis. my other questions I have, because I'm on the budget committee, and I had one conversation with Mr. Bronson about it, is it was a very upsetting and very disheartening having that hearing for your budget and not being able to vote in a responsible way. We are never given any kind of information at all unless we submit a 91A request. We are given no details about any of the lines and why they went up. We are given really no explanation about this new DPT position and what it entailed. And I would really like some clarification on some of this. So we were told for the DPT position, we had asked because we've been with Governor Whitman for 10 years now. How have these kids been getting handled? Obviously, they're not being ignored. Somebody's filling their needs. Who's doing it and how is it getting paid for? We were told, well, it's coming out of 3 lines. What 3 lines is it coming out of the person's pay? Is that answerable?
I think we should go back to the first question first. And I would ask, I think Kathy to speak to some of this. With the budget that was proposed, do you have concerns over our ability to make our budget?
For next year, for the
For the
board's
upcoming
budget?
year.
No,
Okay.
no, with the board's budget, no.
With the
The proposed budget from
The school board's proposed budget. No.
Who's the liaison to the budget committee?
the liaison is Crystal and is it just
I was liaison to the budget committee for 2 years of the 9 that I served on the school board. And if I didn't have an answer for them then, I had the answer for them next month.
I will say that the last meeting I went to, I just responded and got all the answers that they asked for. And that was received to them before the next meeting.
That was the one and only time in the 3 or 4 years that I've been on the budget committee that that's happened.
I had been on the budget, the representative before, and every meeting I attended, I always got the answers for you for the next meeting, so that's.
Well, and then when you guys, because you guys flip-flop, we often hear that person didn't relay those questions to us, we're gonna have to go back.
I think that was happening on the opposite, but every question that was asked while I was there, I submitted and got the answer for you, or submitted via email.
And it shouldn't have to come from a 91A request.
And no, it shouldn't, but how I have been able to get any kind of clarification is through that.
That's not right.
I'm going to jump in here and say that I want to address the first issue is this information that's being put out on the parent portal suggesting, telling parents suggesting how they should vote for a budget. That's not correct. That shouldn't be done. That happened with a letter that came out probably 5 years ago that was sent on to parents telling them basically suggesting how they should vote. That's not, I don't believe illegal, it shouldn't be done, it shouldn't be, you shouldn't be using your parent portal to tell parents, if you don't vote for this, we're gonna be in a budget crisis. That's what I've come to deliberative. I mean, I can understand saying, hey, we're having deliberative, please get out and vote, or come and show your support or whatever, but not to sit out there and say, put me in a budget crisis. That would be no different than the Board of Selectmen putting on our Facebook page saying, we're in a budget crisis, you need to come out. We would never do that, it's not right, and I don't agree with that. And I can tell you, I'm not a parent in the school, so I don't see this as saying that. I don't get told that it's a budget crisis, other than when I talk to a parent that says, we're in a budget crisis, implying if you don't vote for the budget, we're gonna shut the building down, it's gonna shut off, it's gonna be shut down.
I don't think any of that information was provided. I think that we will have financial difficulties with the budget that was provided.
No, it was support the school's budget to help your children's education. It implied, and I mean, many people saw it and many people got this same perception of, once again, if we don't support the budget, if we don't fall in tow, our kids' education is going to get affected.
Well, Well, I think that is a real risk if we don't have the funds to meet our contractual obligations, if we don't have the funds to meet our requirements of the contract and payroll, that we have to meet those things first before anything else happens. So there is an impact that happens. We did have, can I finish for a second on this? So we did have that's okay, we did have the ability to use some ESSER funds last year that helped to support some of the losses that were received in the budget that we ended up having to work with. We don't have that this year. There's no wiggle room there. So we won't have that to fall back on to buy supplies and the things that we were able to do last year. So I think there is a real concern.
They shouldn't be using the videos like that as a threat. If there's something that's facing, if there's a budget issue that if this doesn't pass, this is a program we may have to drop, that's what you inform the parent. I'm not a parent, so I didn't see any of this. This is the first time hearing of it. But you would say, you know, here, this block in this budget pays for this, and if the budget doesn't pass, we may have to curtail this. This is what the impact will be. You can't just threaten people and with that. I mean, Kelly knows, we went through this with building this building. We were the ones who started sending out the letters, and I can't tell you how many letters I composed, how many extra meetings we had in order to get this building put here. But it was never under a threat. It was, here's what we have. If we get this, this is what we can provide. If we don't get this, this is what may be in jeopardy. And coming from the principal.
He was sharing it upon the school board's behalf, so it wasn't his own.
I think that we have no control over the way a message is received. That was not our intent, and sending out the message, our intent was to encourage people to come, because this is the highest turnout we've ever had at the school board meeting in the last 3 years. It is really difficult to reach the population within our town. So I think it was a hope to get people involved. It had no intent of being a scare tactic on our part at all. It was just a hope to get people here so that there would be more involvement.
You're preaching to the choir, and at the cost of less than $200, you could send a 1/4 inch thick booklet to every town, every person in this town. We did it multiple times.
But statistics show that people don't look at mailings like they do other
Well,
things.
then having the principal threaten it is not.
Again, your interpretation of it being a threat does not mean that that was what was
But
being
you're the
said.
ones who are in control of what message gets out and how it gets out.
We have control of the message. We don't have any control over the receipt of the message. At this point, though, I think we've had more than 15 minutes. We'll have more time for more public input after, and we'll move back into the student presentation.
Yeah, can I make a recommendation? They definitely have the little guys who have to go to bed soon.
For sure.
And push this to, no, it's right behind
They're
you.
right behind
So we'll go ahead and move on with the student presentation, and we can resume public input.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Rebecca Lugo. I'm a kindergarten teacher here at Middleton. And this is my good buddy, Cullen Addy. Can we give him a round of applause? I'm so excited to share with you tonight. As you know, with kindergarten, it is a foundational grade in childhood education. And one of those pieces has been our writer's workshop. We have been working so hard at developing our letters and sounds, and as well as our writing. And so Mr. Cullen here has a wonderful piece of work of sharing about our story of a snowman at night. Cullen, can you tell wonderful people, what is your snowman doing at night?
So my snowman doing on night is doing little Coco, and he also likes to play checkers.
And we have also many other creative writing pieces too. It just amazes me every single
single year to see the development of these wonderful kindergartners and how much they grow and how inspiring they are. I'm incredibly proud of them, all 22 of them, especially our friend Colleen. We appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you so much for coming.
Just like the ordinance, for sure. Okay, so we're gonna open up public input again, and we're gonna time it for the 3 minutes each that's stated on the agenda. So does anyone have any public comments?
So, can I get my own questions potentially answered?
I just wanna give someone else time.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
I'm
Can you state your name?
I'm Allison Hayford, and I'm a co-president of the Middleton Education Association. And I just wanted to thank you for the work that we've done together on our CBA. I didn't get to say thank you last time you were here. So I just really appreciate the time that we were able to spend together thinking about all the important things that we do here and making a contract that's really something that we're all very happy with. So on behalf of my members, thank you and appreciate the time.
Any other public input?
So I do know that the parents here are going to speak about maybe negotiating our compensation. I do know that Caroline has a letter. Oh, sorry, I'm Katie Sexton, I'm a student. I'm Katie Sexton, sorry, I have a flu, so.
And I'll speak to it later on the agenda. This is just your public comment where you get to have 3 minutes.
Oh, I thought this was where we were supposed to speak up as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Just talk about how many words job.
Okay, so I'm one of the parents here. I love being here. I've been here, started as a substitute, and then once I found out that we had gaps in the school, we needed parents to be hired, I stepped into that role. Absolutely loved it. I love building a relationship with the students and the teachers around here. They went off into another school for this upcoming year, so I didn't have a job at the beginning of the year. But then I was called that there was a need for another one-on-one position, stepped into that, absolutely loved the relationship with that child and the bonding with the students. And then we found out that somebody else was going to be stepping in from a different company. But then we also found out that the librarian was going to be leaving and that we needed someone to fill that role because the rumor was that the library was going to be closed. And as somebody who struggled growing up, I know how important reading is. I know the bond between learning how to do this and finding the love of reading and getting into these stories is a big thing for these kids in order to create that at such a young age to continue throughout adulthood. And then you find a book nerd like me when you're an adult. So I stepped into that role, happy to do so. I love going to the library every week and making these designated months where, we're learning about the STEM programs, and last month we did it all based off of, no, I'm still in November. Dinosaurs was all about November, and we find a way to work that into the curriculum by talking to the other teachers and creating a little bit of a gap there. They want to start keyboarding and all sorts of, basically I love my job, but we've come to a point where now my husband has picked up a second job to be able to bridge the gap with the money that unfortunately we're not really making here. And I don't want to put that all on him. I would like to continue working here, but we may come to a point where it's time for me to move on, and I don't want to see that happen. I love the community. I've been living here for 9 years. I started off just stepping into a role that was needed and has continued to do so, so I'm hoping that we don't get to a point where I have to leave. And I'll end it on that. You all will receive a letter from me, just a personal, more in-depth about what I've done while my time is here. If anybody else wants to speak.
I do. So I've lived here, Lisa Marco. So I've lived here about 29 years now. So all this was not here when I first moved here. My kids went to Farmington. And I'm going to tell you that I lost my husband 2 years ago. And I'd love to stay in this job. But I am now supporting myself, paying for my home and everything else by myself. So with $16.75, I can't stay here. I love my kids. They mean so much, and they need us to help them during the day. They need us to guide them. Behaviors are horrible, like bad. Like we have a lot of bad behavior kids. But we still come to work every day. We still do our job. But unfortunately now I'm into a place where I'm not gonna be able to stay. So if we don't get something done for us parents and get more increase and more incentive, there's no other way we can afford to stay and work this job. And right now, I know you can't find parents to work here. So I'm hoping that you guys will see our side today and help us.
So in the budget for next year, is
Can you say
there,
your name?
oh, Roxanne Tuskegee, she knows me.
I know.
I'm the one.
Just have to be safe for everyone.
So in the budget for next year, is there a built-in amount for an increase for the parents?
There is, but it was based on the board's, budget number of 4%, so it's 4%.
So let me just, so I just, so let me
You can.
So the teachers have a contract. And when you say teachers, is that the teachers and the principal or?
No,
Just teachers.
So it's just the teachers.
Just the teachers.
Teachers
It
staff.
passes.
Right. So anybody else is getting I guess we call it a merit or COLA, I don't know what we call it.
Not
A
yours.
percentage.
Percentage. And is everybody getting the same percentage?
Yes,
And what you built into that budget is 4% for
correct.
everybody? Okay. And that would become effective, obviously, the beginning of July?
July 1st.
July
New
1st.
fiscal year, yeah.
Has that always been the case?
No,
I was gonna say, I think so. I've been on the budget committee a long time, and I believe the parents have not always been considered when getting a raise, and they probably do a lot of the brunt of the work for a lot of the students.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Hi, I'm Michelle Kuchar. I spoke a long time ago when we were trying to get the dollar raise, and it was a little, forgive me if I'm a little nervous, I don't know. Thank you for making this easy for me to set up. I've lived in Middleton for 19 years. I've been here since May of 2022. When my son was in 4th grade, he's now in 7th grade. Love my job, love my kids. They're like my second kids, they're like my kids at school. It's very difficult with what we deal with on a daily basis, and the compensation that we get in, we're below the poverty level. And we don't have any benefits, we don't have any sick time. We're around kids all the time that are sick, and we get sick and have to stay home without pay. And it gets increasingly difficult to make ends meet. So
Is there any other comments before?
I don't have to go before.
How many parents do we have?
I'm 7.
And I just add too that in this time that I've been here, I've seen $1.25 increase this whole time, and we're all making the exact same thing. And we've all been here for different times.
Hi, I'm Nate Beal. I'm the health and PE teacher here. I've heard from 3 parents now about how they love their job, but we wouldn't be anywhere without our parents. So coming from a teacher, we really need them. They're wicked important. They do a ton for us. That's it.
So I'm just gonna put my 2 cents in because of the budget. So if you're talking a 4% raise for seven parents, you're talking a total of $7,207 a year. Just be split again, be split between 7 people on 1650 times 4%, so it's 66 cents an hour. So I'm sure, I'm speaking, and I am a frugal fiscal person because I work on the town side of it, that there's probably somewhere in your budget that you could possibly potentially find some more money for these.
Can I say that we substitute in all of the classes, and we do not get substitute pay? And if it wasn't for us parents, sometimes the school wouldn't even be open and all the kids would be home. So I'm just gonna add that into that.
Well,
Yeah, as a person who, I'm very like Roxanne about the money and everything, but again, I support it if you show and prove the need for it, and as a parent of a child who is on the spectrum and who has an IEP and needs a one-to-one, without these guys, he would have grown. I don't know why I'm being emotional about it, but I think I'm more angry than I am anything because I've looked at this budget, I've gotten very little response for all of your big increases of what you want, and I'm really disgusted by the fact that I've heard the school board year after year talk about how much we have to pay our teachers very well, but you forgot about probably the most important people. Without these parents, without Mrs. Abbott, and without Mrs. Sexton and all of those, my child's education would be greatly impacted, as well as all of the kids in this classroom because of the needs that he needs. And also, think about the legal problems you guys will have, because if you do not fulfill my child's IEP, I am not the parent that's going to sit on the sidelines and allow it. And there are many other parents in this school that are not going to sit on the sidelines and allow it. And I'm beyond almost disgusted, because it's like to say that you don't have enough money to fulfill your needs when I see how much money goes back into the general fund year after year after year, and these guys are making less than what a Starbucks person would make. And I'm entrusting them with my child for 7 hours a day is just, it's truly disgusting. And then to say, oh, but we need more because we have more needs for special ed, but you're barely fulfilling the needs now with the staff that you've got. And I can't understand where this board is coming from on your way of thinking and on your way of budgeting. And you're doing a poor job of explaining your budget to the people to support. It shouldn't be the town against the school, and I feel like that is what it's becoming, and it's because you have not done an adequate job of educating and giving us the facts of what you need to keep things going. And just hearing, we need more money because we need it, is not good enough. Like in this DPT position, I asked for specifics of, what are your numbers? All we heard was special ed needs are increasing, so that's why we need it. But then we were told, well, the DPT position isn't really needed right now. It's definitely going to be needed in a couple of years.
We'll come back at the end of the meeting. We have to pay for everyone to 3 minutes, and we probably need to wrap this. Is there any, I'll give one more person the opportunity to speak now. And then we'll get to the end.
My name is Lee Babbitt. I grew up in this town. I went to Farmington High School. I wish I had this school when I grew up just across the street at Avon Lane. Thank you, Christine, for bringing this emotional, because I get so much satisfaction and gratitude working here. Ben was one of my first one-on-ones, and you build such a bond. When they are not with their parents, we are their moms that they come and cry to when they're hurt. We are the ones that take care of them when they're sick. They go to the nurse sends them home. We are the ones that help them and help them grow and learn and love education. And here we are struggling. I have a daughter that goes here. I have a son that goes in high school. And it's sad that we are not treated or thought of. They're just the paraprofessionals, when we are actually the ones that are outside at recess with them. We are the ones talking and sitting with them at lunchtime and playing with them when they have free choice. I go to all specials with my kids. I'm in here running around with them in PE. I'm in art class with them, helping them do their projects. I'm in library with Mrs. Sexton. So to sit here and say it's not qualified, I'm sorry, I've had to start to look elsewhere due to financials. And I don't want to. It breaks my heart. I cry every night to my husband because of this. So just think of where you would be in this situation, what you would have to do, and what these kids need.
Okay, I'm gonna pull public input right now. We me know she should be shortly.
And we'll move into the superintendent's report. Thank you. Well, unfortunately, Principal Bronson is sick. There's been some sickness in school. So he's unfortunately not here, not able to give his report. He sends his regrets for missing this meeting. But I can move into the paraprofessional proposal if that's. Okay. So I'm going to pass out a couple things that the parents provided me. One is the stapled one, has 2 letters and some calculations. And then also this other, I think this one handout would be the most helpful. So as you heard, there are a lot of things that we could do. So if we had a magic wand, there'd be a lot of things that we could do, right? So since there is current answer. Yes. So there are a few top things that I would
Fill our vacancies? I thought we had 2 that were still posted.
maybe more than 2, I'm not sure. 2 openings posted.
I thought we had 2, I thought I heard that.
So that would be 9 total, 7 are in the budget, 2, then yes, 9 would be in the budget.
I checked, I think there's 2 openings, like, could be more, but I feel like there was that somewhere.
So a couple things I would recommend to the board to look at. First is the hourly wage. Their contracts, they're all technically part-time. They're all 29 hours, so they're not eligible for any benefits. None of them have health insurance, dental, life, professional development, none of those benefits. They don't have any sick days, professional development days, personal days, holidays. Whenever there's a holiday or a sick day or a snow day, they won't be paid. So that's one bucket. The wage, you heard the wage, so you could consider the wage, what that looks like for next year. The other thing that I think is really important is that paras make less than a substitute. So when a substitute comes in, they make $125. The para wage does not add up to that by the end of the school day. So one item I would urge the board to consider is at least pay them that difference when they do act as teacher and substitute for a teacher. That is already in the budget because we would be looking for some. In fact, it would be less because they're getting their wage and then bump it up to be a teacher. So that's one motion you could make. And then you could consider the hourly wage. You could consider that effective immediately. You could consider that for next year. And they put together what that would cost. If you made a change to increase it to this one is $20 an hour, it would be an additional $15,276 this year.
Based off of 7 paras.
Correct, based on the $20 an hour is something that was brought up because the bus drivers were increased to 20. So that was a change that happened previously. So that's a number that was brought up. Next year's budget was mentioned. So obviously we're halfway through the school year. So next year for the full year, you would need double, $29,100. And of course, you can consider any number that, this is not what you'd like to have. So those are just 2 items that I would want to bring to the board for consideration. The sub-pay and the hourly wage.
I mean, I would make a motion. I was not aware that substitute pay. I think that is absolutely unreasonable and a totally reasonable request, and I would absolutely make a motion for, if they are filling in as a substitute, they be paid as the role that they're filling, not as the role that they were hired for. So that would be my motion, that we, as of immediately, we start paying them. If they're filling in as a substitute, they are paid as a substitute and not paid as a para.
Second that. Agree with that.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Are paras in any other districts on your local level?
Yes.
What was the question?
Are paras in other
Oh,
schools
okay,
on
yeah.
your local?
There are some comparative numbers.
Yeah, we did compare all of the surrounding schools, and what they get and what we get.
You see on one side the 15 and 29, that's the, if it were $20 an hour, 15 and 29. On the other side, they put the others.
All of the surrounding schools that have all of the stuff that's given to the paras, and then we put what we got up there, which is all the zeros.
So which one of these districts are they, like, full employees, not just part-time? Do you know?
And what they're showing you,
But that doesn't sound like what you're talking about.
that's true.
It doesn't give us the benefit information, it just tells what they have for some of their.
I mean, I would be willing to look at that, I don't know, you're trying to get this budget to get that in.
I agree.
To see that out in the near future, or not, it's just budget cycle next one. I think that makes sense.
I think my concern is, I think based on the numbers we heard from the meeting, last week, we're looking at a $292,000 deficit based off of what we have. So we are already starting out almost $300,000 in the hole to try to have to figure out from the budget that was presented by the budget committee and the budget that was presented by the school board. So that would be my concern, is not knowing what we're going to have to work with and being able to meet our obligation. Unfortunately, we don't vote until next month, so that would be my concern without having made it through deliberative session. I don't know that it would be wise to make the decision right now, and I want to make the best decision, because I think that I don't want to just piecemeal something and just give you $1 or $2. I want to look at it and figure out what's the best package we can figure out, but without knowing what we're working with, that's my.
So how long does this take? How long do we not pay our bills or put food on our table before we get this decision, is what I need to know.
So that's my statement to you. I think I can vote it through tonight, and if the budget doesn't get approved and we don't have the money to pay it. I think that's my concern. I think you guys are absolutely worth every dollar that you're asking for. Does that mean that the money is there? It doesn't, and I would feel horrible to tell you that I'm going to give you that pay rate and not be able to meet it.
Wait a minute, you have a motion on the table, correct?
We already approved the motion for
Okay,
the
so
substitute rate.
that's happening. So
Yeah.
if you come in as a substitute, you're gonna get that. So the question now is,
Can we move forward with any of these pay raise
Okay.
increases? So that's the question now. I don't know how everyone else feels. I would feel a lot more comfortable putting this aside to March and seeing after we have the vote with the town, what we have to work with and what we can go back to the table and work out with numbers with what we have to work with and what we can get you and actually fulfill.
So basically, right now, you're gonna lose at least 5 pairs because of this, so you're not gonna have the support to open your school, basically.
That is a choice that you have to make. And if I had the ability to do anything more, I would do it. I don't know what we have as far as.
I'm not prepared to answer that question.
I think we didn't have any information to prepare for anything, to know what we had to work with.
I'm just gonna share my opinion. for the nominal cost, and for that many employees, it is pretty nominal, $15,276 for the rest of the school year, and even doubling that for next year. For what that impact could be if, we say we wait till March and the budget doesn't get passed, you know what's gonna happen. They're negatively impacted by what we're doing day to day. I personally think that amount of money is not worth the risk of losing them.
So your motion is to?
I would make a motion to increase the rate of pay to $20 per hour for the rest of the 2024-2025 school year. And then we would need to work that into our proposed budget for the next school year.
I would second that. Thank you.
What are we looking at this year?
I'm not prepared, but I will work on that for Saturday. What I can't answer is what everything looks like. Roxanne knows, I'm not going to make a promise that I don't have control over the number or understanding of the number right now. Whether we had $200,000 extra or whether we had $25,000. I don't know the answer to that, so I can't in a good faith effort say that I can tell you I'll work on the numbers. I can tell you that I would pull it from where we needed to pull it, but it would be in collaboration with the building principal who is not here today. But without looking at the big picture and seeing where some other costs are and not being able to talk with Aaron. I'm not saying it's not doable, but I'm just saying I can't answer that in a way right now with the knowledge that I have. But I am saying that I would be working with the numbers and with Aaron.
Does their pay come out of wages, or does it come out of special education funds?
Pay comes out of wages, no matter how you look at it, and it's the overall budget. So bottom line budget, you can't expend over a penny, or you're in a deficit. Penny to $20, $200,000. So I just need to make sure that we are only in January right now. I need to make sure that we're going to have the money we don't overspend, but that will be a continual thing if the board chooses to do that tonight. And I agree, it's not a lot of money, but I don't answer questions when I'm not able to work on the numbers. But I will work.
My suggestion would be that we table it till Saturday. That would give you the opportunity to get the information, and then if we can, whether we come here or we go higher, or whether we're able to, that gives us the ability
There's
without having
definitely
this
twofold.
information.
And if I may, the twofold is, we see what the numbers here. I haven't looked at them to prove them. Sorry, I proved numbers. It's always good to double check numbers. But I would, that would be a discussion at the deliberative session to increase the operating budget.
Right, and that would be for next year.
That would be for next
You
year.
can make,
So we can
So
do that.
that you can do.
you can make a motion Saturday for the 30.
To adjust.
Absolutely, and for exactly for what it's for.
For the rest of the year.
As far as this year, what you could do is amend your motion. You could say, you made that motion provided funds are available.
And I would actively look on that. Yeah, anyway.
So I will amend my previous motion, and state that I would recommend that we increase the rate of pay for the remaining 2024-2025 school year for the pairs to $20 per hour, assuming that we can find the funds to accommodate that additional cost.
My concern was just providing the false hope. I don't think that we won't be able to figure it out. I'm very optimistic and that Kathy is really good at. I would encourage us to wait till Saturday.
So we're not going to vote on this.
Yes, we can. We can vote on it Saturday. That's what I'm saying. I would encourage,
Not the future, but the current.
we can do both on
You can do
Saturday.
both.
We have the school board meeting Saturday before the deliberative session, and then we have the deliberative session. So we would be able to do both. And then we would be able to come back with an educated decision to actually give them the best that we can offer. With the ability to look over everything and have Kathy work on the numbers. But my thing is, I'm really kind of overdoing it the way that we've been doing it and piecemealing it. I would rather look at this and figure out a real package and figure out what it is that we can give them. If we're trying to be comparable, we've continuously added $1 here or $1 there by people coming and just talking at this meeting. I feel like if we actually want to be competitive, then we need to be competitive. And we need to take the data that they've provided, go to the table and bring that back on Saturday and say, this is the package that we can actually provide, so that they actually have the data.
Is it realistic to get to that point?
No.
We can tell you.
I'm sorry, I'm good.
Kathy will look at it and give us more information.
I can work with the numbers, I can't work with, no, everything else, yeah.
Well, I think we're talking about holiday pay, sick days, bereavement. I mean, I don't think we're not talking benefits. We're talking about fairly simple things that we can come back and talk to on Saturday.
If we are to say we can talk about some pay raise for the rest of this school year on Saturday and come up with a more long-term plan, that would include getting on a payroll with benefits, potentially, maybe not next year, but the year after, because of where we are in the budget cycle. Is that something that would encourage us? Yes.
Yes.
So how are we going? You want to table it till Saturday and do something?
I'm comfortable with it, and having more of a strategic plan.
I hadn't thought about the fact that it's like a huge benefit to this month where we have the second meeting. All right, so I would make a motion to table this till Saturday.
Sorry, we still need to vote on, there's a motion on.
I'll rescind the motion.
Heather, will you second the rescind, because you seconded the motion.
I would make a motion to table this till Saturday, to pick up this discussion Saturday, after Kathy's had the opportunity to review the budget this year and look at how we can ease things up for next year. Yeah, exactly.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
So to clarify, you want us to bring you a proposal for the remainder of this year and for a proposal for potential amendment to make during the deliberative.
I want to know how we're going to make it work, based on the budget. So yes, I think looking at the proposed $20 an hour, if that's doable, and what that will look like.
The substitute thing goes into.
That's already done.
Meeting.
The substitute thing is immediately in effect. And I probably told you guys that we weren't aware that that was not already happening.
That's it on their proposal. Unless the board has any other questions. We'll reconvene on Saturday on that during the state of the schools. January financial reports.
Yeah, we did the minutes. I don't remember the name of the motion. You're fine. Are you checking me? Thank you. Yes, you all know. It's okay. We understand. It's so stupid.
Yeah,
I don't like
quicker,
change.
it's quicker, and it's,
This was like last month or the first time?
yeah. A certain somebody liked it formatted, and it took me like an hour to do it, I'm sorry. budget, budget transfers if they're requested. There's a process for that.
The disability insurance line on page 3, under, bottom, 1.69.24, and 2.4. It's negative 347.
You said on the bottom of page 3?
Yeah, it's the third line
Oh,
up.
sorry, I was looking at the wrong page.
That's okay. Page 3 is the third line on from the bottom.
Yep.
What is the, was there something that changed with disability insurance that there would be such a difference?
It's called a price increase, and it's also based on the wages. So as the wages go up, the cost goes up, the rate for the disability insurance went up.
Okay, I just saw that we had budgeted for 282, but I think we paid out 90.
Yep.
Did we not anticipate the?
I did not, I didn't get information on
Oh,
that.
no, okay. Any questions about anyone? All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving into the chairman's report for deliberative session.
This is just here for you to review. If you have anything to review about the process, we'll have presentations for you, we'll have scripts for you, because at the last meeting, we decided to.
Who's going to speak each topic?
First of all, I wanted to note that for the positions, we have one-year position, and Samantha Martell is running for that. I don't think she's here. Also, for the 3-year position, Heather, Christine, and myself. And also, if I wanted to contact the supervisors, which I was Roseanne.
I'm it for Saturday.
You are it?
I'm it.
Okay, so if I needed
Can't
to,
do it evidently because now I don't understand why. There's a conflict. Yeah, and Andrea's out of town.
okay,
I'm it.
so you're it. So if I had a question, I would contact you.
Don't have any questions.
I will not, but I will contact you.
I'll have a little chair over there and check people in and that's it. Yeah. So I'm it.
Is that who's running?
Can you see?
Yeah.
So
I just said that.
But yes, she does need to say it again.
Linda is running for treasurer next,
Okay.
but there is no one running for moderator.
Or deputy treasurer.
Or deputy treasurer, yeah, correct. And that was the other thing I was going to say, is that we are still without a moderator. And I have contacted multiple people, and if anybody has any ideas, please let me know, because we still do not have one.
As in sports activity.
Correct.
Have you asked John Mullen?
John said that John Mullen's in Florida.
He's not there. He's not there yet.
He's not there yet.
Well, he mentioned that he might come, so.
I talked to Scott, and he said that he was gonna be on duty, so he couldn't do it. And I talked to Ken, and he said that he was going to be out of town. And again, if anybody has any ideas, I'm open for ideas, but at the moment, I do not have.
So Kelly, it just takes someone who's a resident,
Correct.
right? And is there, if someone who's never done it, is there instructions? Strict?
No, it was,
Can someone step into it easily?
Can someone jump on that?
It's that,
And what is there?
It depends how nice everybody's
A little
going to be
stipend?
to them. There is $200, I believe.
Yeah.
$200? Tell your friends.
And depends how nice everybody's going to be for a person.
so the question, you know, if you don't get somebody until Saturday, do they have to be sworn in to be monitored?
I was gonna say, if
Who
that
would- who would swear them in?
would be a good question.
What are the requirements for serving that?
I don't know, I mean, usually it's a town official, it's usually a town, well, it's a town official that typically swears. And that could be the town, it could be the town clerk, it could be a selectman. It says on the bottom of the page. I'm just asking the answer because
Tim is live streaming it, so people will be here at the town. So that's why I was asking how do I know what else.
I mean, I would, but it's just the matter of making sure that the audience is on.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I can see,
Yep.
so.
I agree with that. Okay.
So just as a, note to
Okay. I will
have that, make that happen
get
before.
the paperwork for that.
Before we see what we're doing. I mean, I don't have an issue with you. I do want to be able to speak, that's all. I mean, I think I've moderated it before, so I don't have a problem doing it. It's just that I would like to be able to speak.
is there any restriction against a moderator? We'll have to bring a separate moderator in here. Jim can do Roxanne. Jim can do it.
Well, that's like, yeah, there's, that's like,
If there's an exception for, she would be the one to know.
all right, well, we'll continue to discuss this, but if anybody has any ideas, let me know, and I just wanted to let you know that that is a thing, and I have been working on it, and
Did you try Jody Mango?
I have not. Would you like me to ask her? I could ask her.
She's been very active in town, and she's done stuff like that before, she might do it.
She has, yeah, and I know where she lives. I know.
She might do it.
Oh, because it's, very active. Okay. Okay, I think that was all the things that I had.
Anyone have any questions about the deliberative? Any other topics?
Does everyone know what time we're at again on Saturday?
We start at 9:30.
We're starting at 9:30.
Would you like to meet, we did discuss if you'd like to meet earlier with the attorney.
I think we said you were 9. I think that was, yeah, I was thinking that was the time. Are we
So
going
9?
9? Yeah. I think it was
the public can come at 9:30.
Correct,
So
correct.
you can't come at home.
Correct.
We can.
You can know.
Okay. Any other questions anyone has about the deliberative session and what we need to do?
I've heard a lot of feedback about the relationship between the school board and the budget committee. I think it'll be important for us to say what our plan is moving forward,
I agree.
how to improve that working relationship, so that it will be the first topic. So some of the things I've heard were that we don't have, I think some of the things that were raised here tonight, we don't have a consistent person. I think that's going to depend on his footing and where we move it. I think, however, the school board decides to move forward, it should be one person and actually have a second person, so we say two people. If that's feasible. And then have, someone, either the principal or the superintendent, come on a routine basis. I don't know if it has to be every day, but I think there needs to be some.
To the-
And the business administrator, yes.
Yeah.
Don't leave me out.
One of them.
No, no.
I'm
But I
happy to
think
join.
that's important for answering a lot of the questions that we don't know as board members within the grade. So I would, even if I'm not put in, I think that would be a good thing to do moving forward. I also think it would be good to talk about making a formal presentation to the budget committee of the budget and actually going through it as you would present it to any sort of funding entity. And that's something we can do as a full board, we can do it, however we decide to do it. But I think a more formal presentation rather than a question and answer, I think would go a long way in bridging the gap in what we're seeing in this budget cycle.
I agree. I think a question, I think we need to know the questions before we get there, so that we can actually provide the data. So whether they have a different way they want the budget laid out so that they can have, or however, I think we need to have almost a brainstorming session with the budget committee to figure out how we can meet their needs, to answer the questions that they need. Anything else? Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll move into closing activities and advanced planning.
Great. So, meeting dates and events, we have State of the Schools at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday, deliberative at 10, and no school for February break, the 24th through the 28th. Voting is on March 11th, so there will be no school, but there will be in-service for staff. And the next school board meeting is the next night, school board meeting 6 p.m. on March 12th.
Okay. Moving into public input, we are gonna have to hold this to 15 minutes and 3 minutes for each individual, but Roxanne.
I need somebody else's ideas. So, tonight is school board meeting, Saturday, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, what time?
9:30.
So that's 9:30, that's.
The
which
station.
is this- Okay, all right, sorry. I guess that's the afternoon, that
No,
problem.
that's okay.
You know, all this stuff, sorry, in my head. Just a response as far as like the proposed, I don't, is this shared out online on the parent thing, this square one? So it's just basically telling people to fill out with it. So I don't know why, if this would have been shared or whatever, the proposed budget, and I understand that we don't always want to share something because it's a draft, but I mean, it says draft on it. But I mean, I look at this and I see, you know, $500,000, roughly a $500,000 increase to the school budget. That's a lot to swallow, considering I come from the town side as a selectman, and we're stuck at a 2% tax cap, which means our budget is like $2 million, so we're stuck at $40,000 that we can increase our budget. $40,000. The town's asking for the school's asking for $500,000. And most of it's all coming through, and not by any means saying you don't deserve the work, but it's all coming through, the majority is coming through the wage in your health insurance lines, your health and life. So I just caution you when you go to look at the paras, and I'm saying they deserve a great pay raise. But I'm gonna say, really think twice about the benefits, because the benefits per person could easily be $20,000 a person. So 20 times 7, 20, that's $140,000 more per person. And I'm not saying you don't deserve it, I'm just saying, from my perspective, you know, and it's a tough pill to swallow. I know I have other questions, but that's all I have.
As far as just to address the change, like, I don't even have the number in front of me. What was the change in the budget this year, last year, 400?
Oh, that was gonna be my question. So we went to a default, we voted last year, the town voted the default budget. There's only $30,000 difference between what was proposed and what was, and what passed, 30,000. So I guess we have to absorb that 30,000 this year. So if you take the 30,000 out of, say that, say 400,000, or if I won't say 500. So you're asking for $370,000 increase, and that's all contractual? Because it's all coming from your wages and your, that's what's driving it, because we've cut, it looks like.
Right, everything else is very low.
So,
I don't know what you're looking at. My understanding is that the wages proposed by the school board include the current wages paid for the teachers under the collective bargaining agreement, not including any increases, because that's in the warrant article. And it includes the 4% increase for all of the non-collective bargaining agreement employees. That's what the wages that we have proposed represent.
So say that first part again, I'm sorry, the first part was what we're supposed to be paying, which should have been in the last year's budget.
It's what they're currently getting now for the teachers in the.
Yeah, which would be the $30,000 difference.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I mean, if I looked at last year, what got passed at the town meeting, what got passed at the voting booth went the default budget. And the only difference between the default and what was proposed by the school board and the budget committee agreed to, I believe, their budget was $30,000. So to me, you're starting off with a $30,000 difference this year.
You lost teachers down here at the pay scale and hired them at an entire rate of pay to replace them, because that's what it took to get you to the position. So the wages are not a static thing, because you're not hiring the exact same teachers at the exact same rate of pay year to year to year. That changes as staff changes. So some of those changes are reflected in that.
And we've added fair positions as well. And there was one.
Fair positions, okay, I mean, I'm not gonna, meaning at $20,000. We're talking 350, I mean, and I'm thinking that's $350,000. So we, my best guess, and I'm just gonna say this, so my best guess is, we have, how many teachers in the school? 7? Because you got kindergarten, first grade, second grade, 7.
12.
Okay, no, all right, so 12.
I think there's 18. I think there's 18.
I mean, I'm just saying that this is what it needs to be more transparent, I guess. And I mean, I know the budget probably more better than most people in the budget committee. So I can kind of see this, and that's where the question is like, when you give out the financials, it's all this long, and you can see line by line. So when you do the proposed budget, everything is squashed together. So then that's when the questions come and say, well, what's in that, what's in this stuff? And I mean, and I know, I think you know that nice little tutorial that tells us what all those little things and how they, I mean, because I can go through and I say, okay, I get all of those go into this 214.
Yep.
So I mean, I understand it, but I mean, the issue is that it's not, I think it just needs to be more transparent. And I agree with you, Heather, as far as, you know, the coming to the budget committee and giving a little bit more explanation. And I know you've offered to do that in the past, Kathy, as well. So I think maybe we just need to get back there. And I'm gonna take somebody else's 3 minutes. My other thing is I really, really hate having come from the budget committee and then now as a selectman, I really hate this feeling that it's the town versus the school. We're all one entity. I mean, and I always feel like we struggle all the time, and just as the school struggles to get all their money, you know what I mean? So I mean, in the end, we all live in this town, we all support services and whatnot, so it just, it needs to be looked at to me as a whole versus us against them, because I really, really hate it. That's just myself. I'll get you this back.
So I guess I'm kind of looking for answers to some of my questions from the very beginning. Was one, now that we've established that we're not in a budget crisis.
I don't think we established we're not in a budget crisis. I think that there are concerns with the budget that is proposed.
But we're not in a budget crisis because we have yet to go into, we haven't gotten a plan notice, have we?
Heck, no.
We have
Don't put that out there.
So it's tight, it might be tight for you guys, but we're not in the right.
Right, but I think the reality is, from what I'm understanding, the change from this year to next year is $292,566. That is really concerning to us, when, like you said, majority of the budget is wages. So where are we gonna cut $300,000 from?
So, but to say that you're in a crisis right now and to put out that video, I just want.
To me, I would almost consider that a crisis. When we're talking a $300,000 deficit and the majority of that is wages, I think that is a crisis. That is something I would consider would be a crisis.
But it's
My
not
deficit,
But it's not.
That's-
It's
that's
not.
what I think.
So I guess you have to go back and look at that video, and I would very much say, because I've gotten feedback from other people, that it is not transparent at all. It is not explaining any of it at all. It just makes it sound like the lights are about to get shut off and the doors are going to get locked.
I think the video is to encourage people to come, and we're hopeful that that is what happens, is that it creates a talking point that gets people to come to a meeting.
Well,
Because
it's
we are
gonna get
concerned.
parents to come. It's not gonna get people like me who don't see the video.
Yeah.
People who don't have kids in school.
And you're gonna get parents who are coming here who are gonna be frantic, because I'm not a parent, as I said before, I never saw the video, I know anything about it. But if somebody tells me the school is in a budget crisis, to me that means you're having trouble writing payroll checks this week. That's a budget crisis.
I think you have to look at it, yes, budget crisis, you have to look at more than just those two words. So it's a budget crisis around next year's budget. That is what is presented.
That's a different story.
But that is what
And
was
that's-
presented.
No, it was not.
It doesn't
I'm
sound.
sorry.
It comes to the deliberative session because we're in a budget
Well,
crisis, which the deliberative session is for next
a lot
year's
more
budget.
hostility than normal.
You are trying to get your votes on feelings, not facts. And it's going to backfire, I think, because
Well,
you're gonna get, you're gonna remember, there's a lot of people in this town who are empty nesters and who are on fixed incomes and who are terrified of having to move out of their home that they've lived in for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years because they cannot afford it. And that's what I hear from a lot of my neighbors who are empty nesters is, I cannot afford to live here. I'm all in favor. I was prepared to vote on your budget and to vote in favor for a lot of your budget when I went to the hearing, but we got no facts. We got no facts. I'm telling you guys right now, we got zero facts at all about anything. I asked about the DPT position. How is it getting paid for now? Shoulders. What lines is it coming out of?
So we heard you in that statement. We couldn't go back in time because we
Okay.
sent the representatives, let me finish this, Dave. We sent the representatives to the meeting. You didn't get what you needed and we heard you. So we held a meeting last week and no one from the budget committee attended.
I wasn't aware of that meeting. I was not aware of that meeting. We were not told that that meeting was going to happen. We were not informed of it at all. I knew of this meeting tonight, the school board meeting.
The meeting was posted and it was last Wednesday, Thursday. We came and went through line by line to try to provide that
Was
information.
the budget committee notified?
No.
The budget committee was notified, correct?
I did not post it.
Okay.
So it would have been nice if the budget, if it was for the budget committee, that we would have gotten like an email, to know that that's what was happening.
I thought that happened. I apologize if that didn't happen because we tried to meet what you guys had asked for to give you the information.
And we're also, and the other thing is we're also in the middle of trying to do the hearings for the town. And we weren't able to have a quorum because people didn't show up. It was like the school board members, now that you guys had your hearing for your budget, and your budget went through, we haven't had anybody show up from the school board to continue on.
There's another meeting?
Yeah, we've had 2 more meetings, and we announced these meetings, and we had these set back in September and October.
So, yeah, I didn't know about them. I thought it was once a month.
And they've been posted all over, and they've been all over Facebook, all over everything.
You guys should have had a quorum if one of us wasn't there.
Who's in charge of the budget committee email? Because I feel like there's a
Sierra.
gap. Because, we were told no information has been shared, but I know that emails have gone to that generic budget committee email. And then the budget committee members are saying, we have no answers, but Kathy has sent emails to that email. So there seems to be a miscommunication between budget
There's
committee
somehow
members that
breakdown.
we've been somehow maybe hopefully work on. I think that I hear everyone's concerns and I share them. And I want to be able to get through this particular budget cycle so that we can start to look ahead and move forward how we improve that. I agree with you, Roxanne. It's not us against them. It's a working relationship and it needs to build trust over time. So you have addressed this, you've brought this to us. Let us now, over the next year, work at fixing it. But we need free communication on both sides. So please make sure that you email
So can
the
you
board
just,
with all the meetings so that we can make sure we get people there.
can you just answer where the money for the DPT position is coming from right now? Because we were told it's going to have 3 lines.
The DPT, so the services right now, the new DPT would,
Right now,
there's
right now, we're not paying.
We don't
for
have
that.
So we were told this is going to 3 lines.
Yes.
It's 3 different.
Said it would be coming from 3 lines, but at the moment, you are
It's
not, because the students are integrated in the school, and the DPTs don't know. I mean, there are 7 towns with students going in, so it's not identified. So to be able to put a new process in place to figure out which one's a Middleton student, which one's a Brookfield, Effingham, that takes time, and the special ed director is on top of that, but right now it's in time. But it's over, I'll let you talk to them because of the caseload.
Right, so currently it is, it's absorbed by the Governor Wentworth School District.
So it's not coming out of any of our special ed lines?
Currently,
Okay, because that's what we were told. We wanted to know what 3 lines.
It will come out of consulting line, because that is how Governor Wentworth will build Middleton Elementary School for that.
And then the other question is to justify this position for our kids for 6 through 12. How many kids would it be servicing right now?
We didn't bring
I feel like we had
case management numbers. When we proposed this to the board, we listed it out, numbers for each, had that discussion with the board.
Was that last month? I think it was.
This is the last budget now.
But
Oh, what is the section? Because of the fact that we are not our warrant article? So currently, our students are being serviced by one person whose caseload is huge. So to do our students the justification of having more personalized and a smaller ratio, they were asking us to create this position that would work with our 6th graders to help to integrate them as they move through middle school, as well as to take on those middle school and high schoolers to give them the attention they needed and focusing on their IEPs so that the caseload isn't being absorbed by this person who has so many students.
So it would be 25. So the DPT would have current, so if they existed right now, they would have from grades 6 through 12, it would be 5 students, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4, and 1 in those grades.
Currently, that currently have identified IEPs. So the kiddos that we have that fall between 6th grade and 12th grade that currently have IEPs, that would be their caseload.
It would be a total of 25?
25 students, right?
Okay.
And 1 out of the district.
And moving
Well,
forward,
that's what they have currently now, or if you don't count the 6th grade, they have that thing now.
Yes, but it's a Governor Wentworth.
I understand.
This is who it is there now.
So right now, they're covering those and all of the other students. There's only one person in the middle school. So there's one professional.
And they're covering Brookfield and everything.
Everybody's.
But I'm just saying, it's not like Middleton is bringing in this burden. This is not all of a sudden just becoming aware 10 years later down the road.
I don't
They're paying for this.
think we're looking at it as a burden. We're looking at it as our students are getting the care and time that they need for their IEP because they're one of 100
But
students.
then that means Brookfield is.
That's exactly, but that's for them to figure out.
That's
That's for them to figure out.
So
We're just saying our
throw
students.
money at it to get the problem taken care of.
We're,
Well, it's
no, we're asking our students.
When we get the bill, or are we gonna have our own staff person?
And
If
so,
we're going to
there are caseloads of
I guess the
those.
concern is we've been doing, this has been fine for 10 years, now that our contract is up, now all of a sudden this has come forward to say this is an issue. We
But
should
this
have
is
been
not
paying
covered
for
under
it
the
all.
contract.
Yeah, this had nothing to do. This wasn't anything brought
No,
up.
it's a part of, it was a part of the contracted service.
It's
You're
part
not
of,
telling me
it's
when
part
we-
of how the tuition is adjusted. It's
Right.
part of the expenses, so my question is, if this passes and we fund our own person, that item, line item comes out of the money that how you charge us our tuition. We no longer pay that portion of the.
Special education is above and beyond.
No, it's gonna come out, it's gonna become part of the budget.
So if it's above and beyond, we're already paying in our tuition to the Governor Wentworth, to the middle and high school kids, but we have a separate person here doing that job, why am I paying for Brookfield and Effingham and all the other?
You're not paying for that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that whoever is doing that job now at Governor Wentworth, their charge is like a bus. Why would I be paying for you bus your own kids? If we're paying our own separate person for that job, we should not be paying a prorated portion of that position at Governor Wentworth. That has to come out of of the computation that you use when you charge us for our tuition. This is how Farmington's starting, that we were paying for stuff that is exclusively theirs. We're going to have an exclusive person in this position. We should not be paying for the one that's doing it at Governor Wentworth that is not doing it for us. That is not a service they're providing to us. I should not have to pay for that.
But here's what's coming down the line.
Right.
We're gonna get a bill for the services from them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It
So
should
we're
not be
so we're trying to
included.
get-
We're trying to take.
And put it into a position that will then see our children through. This is not just only about covering staffing or, meeting special education needs. It's also about providing continuity of services for the students as they move through from school to school.
But if we are paying for an exclusive person to do that for our school,
They're only
it's
for.
only for our, exactly, it's only for our kids. And then,
But they have to go with our kids.
aspetta, as they say in Italian, wait, if Governor Wentworth has 3 others up there who are doing it for all the other schools, why is that in my tuition?
It's not.
Well, that's what I'm saying, you're gonna pull that line, right now, it's in there.
It's not.
Because,
It's just been absorbed. They haven't.
but we should, the line that Governor Wentworth has, that you're paying those people to do that job for the rest of Governor Wentworth, needs to be pulled out of the numbers that you use when you compute tuition for us. Because we now have our own exclusive person doing that. The same way that we don't pay for you, well, we do pay for your teachers because our kids are going up there. But this is a special thing. So.
There's not a line item that they're billing us for the services.
It's gotta be pulled out.
There is not a line item that they're billing us for those services currently. They're just.
I understand they're not doing it
Let me
now.
finish.
It's been included in their big picture of the tuition. Yes, they are not
Correct.
charging us
Right now,
right
they're not billing
now a
us.
line item for it. But when we hire our own person and we are paying our own person, we should not also be paying theirs.
But you're not, because we're not being billed for it.
Because right now, it's all rolled into the whole thing.
So
It needs to be figured out how much that person is included in the big numbers that's sent to us, and, you know, we
But
take
what
out
you're,
all
so
the
you're
things
talking
that
how
aren't.
many professionals, how many IEP coordinators are there at the high school level?
2.
Okay, so you're talking 3 employees.
Oh, you're talking
No, 3. There's 1 at the middle school and 2 at the high school.
Hold on.
That's it. There's 3 employees you're talking.
So we're not gonna, we will not be availing ourselves of their services any longer, because we will have our own.
But it's never been billed
It's
separately.
never been billed separately,
No,
it's like it's been rolled in.
It's never been rolled in. It's never, I hear you. But
So
it's
what
never-
you're telling me
and
now
I
that
haven't said a thing yet.
those people, we've never paid, it's never been put into the big tuition number?
Correct.
They never calculated
It has
that.
never been charged to Middleton. The tuition in the contracts is tuition, and it says separately, special education is separate. However, it hasn't been billed to Middleton,
Okay.
ever.
I
It's-
just wanted to make sure that we're not gonna be paying yours as well
And
as
it's
their own.
absolutely no, that would never, we would never want that.
No.
So you're going to be able from 3 to 4?
No,
No,
we will not go from 3 to 4. Governor Butler will continue with every.
All right, so you don't end up having 4 altogether.
But they'll only be servicing
No,
them.
they
Right
have.
now, I get that,
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
just-
you currently have 3, those 3 will just be doing governor, Wentworth, school
Students.
district,
Case management.
people,
Yeah.
and then Middleton.
Middleton, our current 25 students would have their own special case manager.
Right.
And instead of being billed, it would be.
Well, right, or what's I'm saying, right now, there's 25 students and one out of district. So there's 26 students that one case manager will be managing. You guys can, it is a warrant article, it is being put to the town can approve it or not approve it. I will tell you, as a parent with a child who recently moved to the middle school, the transition has been horrendous. Horrendous. This would be something that would be huge for my child.
Why is it a difficult transition?
I'm not gonna get into that here, I'd be happy to talk to you about it later.
No, I mean,
But
in general, it's.
I mean, I think you have to look at the numbers. You go from a student, I mean, even moving from school, like my child was one of 19 children and went to a class of 180. That is a huge transition. And there was breakdowns in communication and things that didn't get passed through and things that were misunderstood. There's so many things that this would be such a huge advantage to our students. And the time frame of anyone who knows IEPs, they don't move fast. Nothing moves fast. It is the slowest paced thing ever. And it is horrendous to watch a child fail.
Can I just, it's like the second part, and because I'm all about facts and not the feelings of it, and even though like, as a parent of an IEP kid, like, it's a very mixed bag for me, this subject. Moving forward, what are your projected numbers going to be to sustain justifying that position?
Well, we have them, it's all the kids in the elementary school. So currently, the 2 case managers, 5th grade is 5.
So next year, we would replace the 5 students with 5
All
more.
these kids
And
move
how
up.
many are in 12?
All these kids move up.
So next year, the caseload would increase by 4 because we're only losing 1 12th grader. So that caseload would go up.
So the numbers are gonna basically sustain.
Yeah,
or
it looks like our
potentially
numbers are
go
sustaining.
up.
Yeah.
Well, I know you can, but like, right now, there's going to be 25 kids, but the lower home
I
could not.
have, so it's another question, and we talked about the warrant article, and I know one of 2 of them on there are to accept the new contract, tuition agreement. There are no numbers around that. How do we vote on something that we don't know what's going to cost us?
I can say something else. So, the motions written by the attorney are to ratify the agreements because the 2 bodies agreed to the contracts. So that's why they're written that way.
But we will have copies of the contracts.
And what the cost is going to look like, the tuition cost is?
And didn't you say it was written the same way it was 10 years ago?
Same, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, and I'm just, you know,
We actually brought out the same question.
We'll bring all copies.
that's like $100.
It is. Well, yeah, what's in the box, so I know.
So Mr. Setback was this one position, this DPT, PTP, whatever it's called. That, if that passes, then what happens is that goes into the regular general operating budget?
Correct.
So it's not only increases by 350, it could potentially to reimburse that for them. It's probably another $100,000 or $110 because I think the benefits is $100. Just want to make sure I understood that.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to note too that
You have her name right.
Alice.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to note that we have been short 50% special ed teacher. So the special ed teachers that we have now are working extra for 2 years, I think. So, you know, they're always going to do what the students need. They always provide those services, but it is really an unfair burden that we're placing on them. So I think this would be an important step in correcting that by taking the 6th grade kids to a different DBT caseload.
I agree. I think it was something that was brought to our attention. It is something that, having just gone through this transition with my student, I definitively can see the need. It was not something that I was aware of or had thought of before, but I do see the value in it. I think that we are proposing it. It was proposed to us to add it to the budget. We raised a lot of concerns about the budget already and not being transparent and giving the town the ability to weigh in, which is why we need a warrant article. I think that it gives you guys the ability to hear the need and then make that decision. So I agree. Special education is a special world, and there's not enough money in it, and there's not enough to fix it. So, but it was something that was identified for us that we're trying to propose to the town that it might be something we want to consider. All right, we do need to wrap up public input. Is there any other public input we can take?
My name is Sheena Robbins. I am the school counselor. I just wanted to say thank you to the board because in my time that I've been here, you guys have been extremely supportive of the school and listened to the needs and been really sensitive to that. But I just wanted to have a chance to speak in support of the paras. Just being one more person to help amplify their voices because they're unable to do that through like a formal means like a union. They just don't have enough staff. And then it's just like awkward to go through a principal, that's not a normal way, and then you go through a superintendent who's like providing services and going directly to the board. It's like there's a lot of eyes on you. So they're just in this very unique position that I think it's important for you guys to realize that it's not just paras that are here, there are other staff from all around the school because the school really cannot function and cannot function well without them. And I don't think that any single person that works at this school wants to work in a school that doesn't have paras or that has very minimal paras, especially where we're already working at a deficit from day to day. I also want to remind everyone in this space that at some point this town chose to vote to have a school. And so that bears a burden and the responsibility lies with every single adult because children do not have legal voices that carry weight. The adults do. That's our job to worry about. That's our job to take care of as a collective unit, whichever angle we're coming from, whether it's staff or community member or budget committee or school board or administration, that we have to find a way to cooperate and find a way to advocate and find a way to figure it out because they do have a right in this country to an appropriate education. So we have to figure that out. The needs don't go away because we don't want to pay for it. So I just want to put like a strong and powerful collective voice out there for the kids because they can't do that nor should they have to worry about that. So the last thing I want to say is that I know that you guys made some motions and that you're going to be speaking at deliberative to next year's budget or kind of the potential in doing some advocacy there. But are you going to be able, the original motion was to take action now for our paras and make some moves that would affect the rest of this school year to keep these like these are really good people that we have. Right now you have a building full of people that genuinely want to do what's best for kids and are always doing that. So if you're not able to, because my understanding is like deliberative is to speak to warrant articles and the fiscal year 2026 budget. So if you're unable to speak to what's happening in this year's budget, I would urge you to reconsider the original motion that was on the table to.
It was added to the school board meeting session.
They didn't have a
The
meeting.
next, before the deliberative?
Correct.
Okay,
So she's gonna gather us the data to make sure that we can sustain the cost.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon Bonnaby. I am the reading specialist at the school. I was just curious, you made the motion moving forward for paras to be able to get the difference for the substitute pay. So my question is there a way to go back to the beginning of the year for the paras that have subbed already and be able to have that difference made up to them and get that pay for them that way?
I don't think I don't know that would be something that we could do, even from just figuring out who was in what role, that was even calculated and kept track of.
Right.
We have that data.
We have data.
Send out daily staff absences and who's covering who every morning, every day.
The motion was for moving forward. There is no motion for retro.
Just thought I would throw it out there.
Okay, so we're gonna move forward into closing comments. I will.
Just want to say, voting is not going to be, just the school because voting is not going to be here, the school voting will be at the old town hall. Just because we had voting.
March 11th.
Yes, March 11th. Because we haven't, no, see? No. But we'll check us to be showing up in the wrong place. Old town hall. So see, that's why I want to put that up as it's around.
Okay, we need to know.
Presidential election was here because it was huge turnout. Maybe we'll have that many people turn out for this town.
We had very good feedback about it.
No, it was great. It was super.
It brought people in who are not part of the school.
Yeah.
So,
And they were able to see the school.
yeah,
They really
I
liked it.
always, is there a reason why we couldn't consider it? Yeah, reconsider. The people who are not.
At this point in time, I believe we've already made that decision. But I mean, it's not to say maybe going forward, we have decided that's where.
I think I agree, it's just a great opportunity to open the
I know,
doors
I
for
don't-
people who don't have.
I think it's because it's one of those things where I know prior board, it was always like, why do we have to close it because we don't use the school words, well, I know that, but, sometimes we're out here, and that, so for March, we went back to status quo for the town. But good information.
Yeah, I would love for us to consider going forward.
Okay.
And that's why we need that
Back
data.
to board. That was one of
Please bring.
that was one of his selling.
Okay, so
Well, we have town meetings.
moving forward into closing comments. So one of the things that I have brought up time and time again is I've heard from many people that not everyone has students here. We only have 150, I don't know the current number, 53 students or something around that. So there's only really 153 students, families that are affected by the school. As someone who moved into this town right before this school opened, my kids were the first year in Farmington, there was a drastic change to my property values once the school opened. So every single resident in this town did receive an impact. It also increased their taxes, but they did receive an impact to the value of their home. So I think for me, the concern is, I've been a part of this now for a few years. I've been at the budget meetings. I know how, and I don't not understand. I think that there's a huge opportunity and we need to fix it. The communication, the transparency needs to be there. But the reality is we have created the school, we have funded the school, and if we can't keep it going, it's not gonna cost us less. We have a legal obligation to provide all these students an education, so it is only going to cost more. Do we need to keep spending in check? Absolutely. Do we need to be more transparent? Absolutely. We need to fix that, but we have to keep the school going. We already had almost a warning right after COVID. Our school was not a quality school, and we were put on like a probation. We fixed that, but I think that's a concern. If we don't stay a quality school, that's going to impact our taxpayers, not our taxes, but our taxpayers again. we're not gonna be a quality school, that's not, it's gonna be a less desirable town to live in. So I hear you, and I want to be as fiscal, I'm totally with you. And working in the hospitals, I cannot tell you how many 80-year-old homeless residents that I work with every day trying to figure out how to help them. I want to do everything I can to make that not a reality and to keep everyone in their home and have the balance between the school being what it needs to be and everyone having what they need to be. It's going to take some work, but I think we have a board that's willing to work and fix the issues that have been there.
Ellie.
Passing the baton. Sheena, are you coming to deliver it?
I can't, my kids have
Can you
sports.
write down everything you said and have somebody read it?
I'll read that.
I made it up. I took some
You
notes.
can do that.
Yeah, but I was wondering, can anyone speak at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
If I'm not a
you
resident.
have to be a resident to speak as a-
Can you ask the moderator for permission to speak?
Yeah, okay, got it.
Okay, so you don't need special permission to be able to speak?
No.
Okay,
You
I will
identify
let you
yourself.
speak, but you can't vote.
thank you, Linda.
Thank you for clarifying.
It was just like a really good
You just can't vote.
snippet of a lot of information condensed very well. So, yeah.
So we'll read any statement that any staff would like to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the parents for showing up for yourselves today.
I'd like to say thank you on behalf of all of us, parents, who listen and understand for us.
To fix something.
We are trying to fix it. And I do want to say again, I love my kids and my job, and I would love to keep working 5 minutes from my home. So, with that said, it does cut down on gas prices, but I need to make money to be able to pay the rest.
All right.
Just, round of applause for this one kindergartner.
Right. But it needs to happen.
It is reflected in the children that come home to us every day, so thank you for what you do, and we will continue to try and work to get everybody where we want to be, and it works for the school, for the town, for everybody. But it's a balancing act, and we appreciate you being patient with us as we walk through the process. I also want to thank, I know there's been a lot of conversations, and I hope we continue to have more. I welcome the debate, I welcome the two-sided conversations, and I really appreciate the honest feedback. So thank you, and please keep coming, keep giving that to us, because that's how we improve and how we get better.
Right?
I just want to say that as a person who hand delivered the withdrawal agreement, withdrawal proposal to the Department of Ed, and we pulled out of Farmington, and school board member, when we did get the school, it was our intent, and I'm sure it still is, Kelly's the only one who's a holdover from those days, that we provide the best education we could for what we can afford. That doesn't mean we cut things back that are necessary, but we need to really look at where we can help save money, what we can do. I had fun last year playing with the kids in art class, as a volunteer. I'm happy to do that. The Lifetime Girl Scout, nobody knows I've done enough volunteer stuff in my life. We appreciate everybody who works for the school, staff, teachers, paras, the guy who cleans the floors, everybody. And I am so proud. I feel like the getting a school here in this town was one of the 2 reasons I've been put on this earth. And I'm just so happy that we were able to do it. It kills me. My taxes are over $8,000 a year. I'm on a fixed income. It's god awful. It's bleeding me dry. but we need to provide for the kids. And we had to be incredibly transparent. If you were here, those of you who lived in town, when we were going through putting up the school, I can't tell you how many newsletters the school board sent out. I typed every freaking one of them. How many extra meetings we had, sessions we had on Saturday mornings and Friday afternoon. We covered everybody. Kelly, you know, I mean, it was just nonstop. Ken Gary worked it out, but that last year, we made 11 cents an hour based on what the school board members get paid and how many hours we had to put in. Transparency is vital. You're going to have a lot of feedback, and you're going to have a lot of angry people here on Saturday. I can feel it in my bones. We've never had a happy one. I think it will behoove you, after you get the feedback from people on Saturday, to send something out to all the residents outlining what is going to be voted on the 11th. And yet, not everybody reads their stuff, but I'm so sick and tired of people posting on Facebook, what's all this I hear about? And I'm the one who says, go to the source, go to the school board member, go, you know, whatever it is, go, if it's a town issue, call the selectmen, don't put it here. But that's where they see it, because they don't have the information, they're not coming to the school board meetings. How many, you know, I can count on two hands the number of people who came to school board meetings totally until we started with the building the school, and we had a lot of angry people coming. But we did. And it's really important that you're transparent. Why do you need this? Like I just said to Roxanne, I started first grade at 4 years old in a Catholic school. My father worked 2 jobs to put his 3 kids through parochial school for a while. 50 kids in the classroom, 1 nun. All this other stuff, transition, IEP, none of that stuff existed then when we got through. Kids are different these days. I don't know why, but they are. And we need to provide what they need. But we need, you guys need to educate us, the unwashed masses, who don't have kids in school, who graduated in the dark ages and things have changed. You want us to be knowledgeable and be able to vote? You got to educate us.
Absolutely. All right,
I'm older than you, sweetheart.
I'm going to close public comment because we do need to move into the next steps. Do we have anything non-public tonight?
Oh, my God.
Perfect. All right, then I will take a motion at 7:50.
Who's that?
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thank you guys very much for coming. Thank you.
Don't worry, it's not a school night.
Not by the sounds of hurry. I've got like what, 4 more days to go.
Celebrate my sir. He's talking the whole time. On her little girl game, he's asking for it.
Yeah, they need a break anyway.
It's been a nice little break having a lot of kids out. So I straighten things up a little bit. So we'll stay home one day.
And so it's funny because Carmen was at our house for 24 hours and then they started bickering. I'm like, it's time to go home.
Bye bye.
Not enough of each other.
Yep, too much together time. Those girlies.
Did Lisa go so?
Girl. Oh, she's right. Sorry, think I'm
To tell them to vote for it.
We have.
No, it's from us.
I know. But that's why I wanted to.
Okay. Something from the principal. Telling them.
You missed the first. Yeah. I missed the first. That's nice.
Can we stop this?